the shortest presidential campaign and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days.
Right. When you do very few interviews, travel around a lot and spend $1 billion, go to a microphone and leave, you could always run into the car or go to the green room and finish up your book. That's what she did, 107 days to lose $1 billion plus and still owe money. And now Kamala Harris has said, I will not run for governor. Personally, I think it's because it's too hard of a job. Because you'll have to actually show up every single day and deal with a huge deficit, high taxes, high energy subsidies, a huge illegal immigrant problem, the largest homeless population. She's getting, whoever comes in after Gavin Newsom is getting a hand grenade. Joining us now to discuss this is Julian Epstein, served as Chief Counsel, House Judicial Committee and Staff Director to the House Oversight Committee for Democrats for years, and he joins us now. Julian, what about her decision not to run as governor? Are you surprised?
No, and I slightly disagree with you on it, Brian. And I don't think she's scared about how difficult the job is. I think she's scared that she couldn't win. That she doesn't have a constituency. Yeah, I think she ran the most incompetent presidential campaign in history, as far as I'm concerned. And she did when she was running in 2019, 2020. And you know, there's massive reports of her staff resigning en masse and running an incompetent sort of Senate office. No, I don't think she could win. You go back and you look at sort of all of her riffs on what culture is, and you know, has she been to the border, and what has been all of that. You know, if it came out of anyone else's mouth, you would think that there was something wrong with the person. I mean, the number of incoherent, you know, riffs and statements and sort of, you know, wanderings that she engaged in, she was just not a competent candidate. She never indicated that she had any command of the issues, which is why her staff hid her from the press. You know, if it were anyone else, people would be saying she was an empty suit. And I think for the obvious reasons, people don't want to say she's an empty suit. But I think she fears that she's better off with her brand not running and leaving people wondering than running and having a campaign that would collapse.
Who do you think right now, do you know names of people that might run for governor outside Steve Hilton on the right, which is going to be tough? But outside Steve Hilton, who else is running that is got likely to be a successor?
I think Caruso is gaining more support than we recognize. The guy who ran for mayor in Los Angeles.
Rick Caruso.
I think the broad theme here, for a number of reasons, Brian, is that Democrats don't have much of a bench anywhere. They don't have much of a bench in California. They certainly don't have a bench to speak of nationally. I mean, there's no candidate that jumps out at you as somebody who can get 50 plus votes in 2028. And part of that is because the Democrats are suffocating from ideologies that are unpopular, and part of it's because they're suffering from this vocabulary of anger, which is also very unpopular. So the Democrats are in the dumps right now for all because of their own doing, and I don't think they know how to climb out of it.
So a couple of things. Let's fast forward to the mayor's race and in New York City and why it's such a bigger deal. I want you to hear Zohran Mamdani try to explain the defund the police statements he's made as late as May of this year, and how now that they had that horrible shooting on Monday in New York City, he comes back from Uganda and says this, amongst other things. Cut 21.
And the vision that we've put forward in this campaign, despite what others may say, is not to defund the police. It is, in fact, to allow those officers to respond to these serious crimes that many of them signed up to address. And to do so by ensuring that we ask them to focus on those crimes, and we ask mental health professionals to respond to calls of mental health crises. And as it pertains to the Strategic Response Group, when it was first formed, there was an intention for its use to be more akin to the manner in which it was deployed earlier this week.
Yeah, so he's against that force. He wanted to disband it, called them horrible things. And defund the police, he said it a million different ways since 2020. So he's trying to do some damage control while also knowing he still believes what he believes. He wants a social worker to show up at domestic disputes. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, this is a joke. You know the term retcon? It's the term when you are trying to cut someone into believing that what you said 5 minutes ago, you really didn't say 5 minutes ago. So he's conning the public to say, you know, he's been talking about defunding the police since 2019, and again through last May, as you pointed out, and then to come and make it into the general election and say, oh no, I really didn't mean that. It gives you one of two options for him. Either he's completely hollow and has no core beliefs and can change with the shifting winds, or he's lying. But in either case, it's not good. And the big question, I mean, this tees up the big question for the Democrats today, Brian, which is that the centrists, the same people inside the Democratic Party, know the socialist left is driving them off a cliff, but they are too chicken. They are too scared to stand up to the left, because what the left has done is they have weaponized social media to shame people that dissent and to try to cancel people that dissent. You saw that happen with Seth Moulton when he came out against women and men playing in women's sports. And so the centrists in the party, the leaders, the Chuck Schumers, the Hakeem Jeffries, these are small men. These are weak leaders. These are people that don't know how to stand up when they know something is wrong, when they know the party's going off the cliff, because they're too scared of the personal repercussions from the disaffected in the party that will go after them. And this is in essence what the dilemma is for the Democratic Party today.
Here's Elise Stefanik, who's probably going to run for governor. I hope so. She is a extremely sharp, very impressive congresswoman from upstate New York. This is what she said yesterday to Larry Kudlow, Cut 28.
You have Kathy Hochul, who is the leader of the New York Democrat Party. You have Chuck Schumer, the leader of the from New York, New York mayoral race, hasn't said who he voted for in that primary. And you have Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the New York Democrat Party in the House, in the minority. He also hasn't said who he voted in that mayoral primary. And reporters, where they chase Republicans down and ask who you voted for in primary, they haven't asked that question. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries need to answer who did they vote for in the Democrat primary for May. I want to know, was it Mamdani, or who was it if it was not him? And then what is their position? They have refused to condemn him. They own his position.
Well, you know, they haven't endorsed him, so you know they didn't vote for him. So they probably voted for Cuomo. And Cuomo's down by about 10 points, and he's a scandal-ridden guy who would do a terrible job. He lost any type of zeal that he presented. So I don't know what's gonna stop it. But if he wins, word was Hakeem Jeffries told others that if he wins, they can't win the House back. What does Julian Epstein think?
Well, if Mamdani wins, they can't win the House.
Yeah, because they're going to say that will be the face of the Democratic Party.
Because it will be the face, and every Democrat across the country will be asked if they agree or disagree. And what it portends, I think it's bad for winning the House back, no question. I think it portends a civil war within the Democratic Party for the foreseeable future. And it's a cold war right now, but it could become a very, very hot war. And I think it will just lay open the wounds of the Democratic Party, the sort of the dying dinosaurs who are in the centrists, and the increasing move to the socialist left, which just believes in growing the welfare state, and the nihilism of woke, which means destroy, everything we know, destroy gender, destroy the rules of racial non-discrimination, destroy the borders, which American people hate. So I think it means that you will see a more prominent, angry socialist left, which will become the face of the party, and that will mean the potential death of the Democratic Party. As far as Elisa Stefanik, she represents the realignment of the Republican Party that is increasingly gaining the centrist wing. If I were a New York resident, I would be extremely tempted to vote for her as a Democrat, because she was brilliant on the anti-Semitism. She was brilliant at the way she just took down Hochul and the New York delegation, and she speaks common sense. I think she is a rock star, and I would be very tempted to raise money for her. I would be very tempted to vote for her, because I think she represents a Republican Party that is increasingly capturing the political center. Look at what Trump did on the trade deals. What Trump did on the trade deals, that is where the Democrats used to be during the Clinton administration. Fair trade. Protect workers, limit the slave labor that's coming in from open borders. I mean, this is sort of what centrist Democratic positions were in the 1990s, and now the Republicans, with the help of Trump and people like Stefanik, are starting to occupy this political center, and it portends, I think, a really serious realignment in American politics.
So let's talk about education and the progress they're making. I think it was UCLA, $6 million, $200 million. Harvard and Brown are now, Dartmouth and Brown are now paying. Now you have another university, Columbia, $500 million to fight anti-Semitism on campus, restructure things, pay off people like the janitors that got beat up because they tried to hold on to that office building 2 years ago. Here's Linda McMahon on the series of victories in higher education, cut 48.
In the settlement, it does agree to protect students on campus and to make sure they are still cracking down on anti-Semitism. They also have agreed, to recognize women as women and men as men, and not to allow men in women's sports, and women can have private dressing facilities, etc. And they've also agreed to get rid of the DEI and their hiring practices to make sure that it's based on merit, and promotions and admissions are based on merit and not on other ideologies.
How significant is what's happening in higher education right now?
Very significant, and again, something I completely support. As you know, I've written about this many times in the New York Post and elsewhere. I always say that if what happened to Jewish students happened to black students, if they were intimidated, if they were blocked from going to classes, if there were, black free zones on campuses, if they were told to go back to their countries of origin, the left, the heads would be exploding on the left. But this happened regularly to Jews on a false narrative that the Palestinian movement is a liberation movement. The Palestinian movement has repeatedly rejected peace. But if this were happening to black or brown students, the left's heads would be exploding. There wouldn't be any question. But when it comes to Jews, the left sort of shrugs, which is sort of the neo-racism, what Coleman Hughes calls the neo-racism of the American left. So I think what they've done is groundbreaking. I think it's very important. What I don't think they're doing enough of, if I had to find an area of criticism, is the universities are becoming a monoculture of leftist groupthink that is particularly anti-Western, anti-American. Whenever you hear a studies department, Mideast studies, gender studies, colonial studies, these are code words for a pedagogy that is essentially this notion that the West and the U.S. is oppressive, an idea that nobody agrees with. And this is pervasive within the faculty lounges of the elite universities. And if you had a pedagogy that was giving rise to sort of KKK anti-black violent sentiment that was happening in universities, the left would be all over it. But this is, in fact, happening on universities. It's just directed at other minority groups. It's directed at Jews, and it's directed at, particularly at, the remarkable things that Western civilization has achieved in the last 3 centuries. But it's very fashionable in faculty lounges to be anti-West. It's the way you get advanced. It's the way you get tenure. It's the way you get noticed. Being angry and complaining about sort of what happened in your parents' generation is a good way to advance yourself in academia. It's a culture. It's a monoculture, an anti-Western monoculture. I think they've made progress on that, but I think there's a lot more work to be done. But I think what Trump has done, again, is something that will be widely supported by many constituencies, not just Jewish Americans, but sort of common sense Americans. And I think, again, this is why a lot of people that came up like myself in the Democratic Party in the 1990s, look at the Democrats today, don't recognize them, see what Trump is doing, and I can say as a Democrat, Brian, I think a lot of what Trump is doing is really great, and I support it, and I don't mind saying that.
So the Trump administration struck a deal with Brown for, I think, $200 million. They'd be open to doing a deal with Harvard for $500 million. And we know that they got $6 million from UCLA for setting up no Jew zones and all the horrible things they've been teaching. So I want to see how it's implemented. I want to see if this curriculum, as much as I want a private university to be private and make their own decisions, I think with the anti-Americanism raging and the anti-Semitism raging, there's got to be some oversight. So I hope we do this in an intelligent way, because it's got to be sustainable. Whether Trump wins or Trump's party wins or not in 3 years, this has got to be something both sides agree on, I would think. Julian Epstein, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Back in a moment.
This is the Brian Kilmeade Show.
570 KLIF and 96.3 FM HD2. Hi, this is Brian Kilmeade. Let's talk Madison Trust. There's a retirement investing secret Wall Street doesn't want you to know. It's called a self-directed IRA. With a Madison Trust self-directed IRA, you're not limited to stocks and bonds. You can invest in real estate, private loans, precious metals, and more. That's right. Your retirement savings can work for you in ways you never imagined. So go to MadisonTrust.com. That's MadisonTrust.com and take charge today. Madison Trust, your trusted partner in financial freedom. Results may vary. Consult with a financial professional.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low cost. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood.
Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC. Member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true, people are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
I'm Jeff Stewart with Reliant Air Conditioning, and there's never been a better time to upgrade your AC system, and here's why. Right now, you can stack 3 incredible rebates together. A $1,900 factory rebate, a $1,500 utility rebate, and the $2,000 federal tax credit. That's $5,400. And when you leverage our factory direct pricing, that means you can buy the top-of-the-line 24-SEER AC system for what most people are paying for the base model. Plus, these systems can cut your electric bill by over 60%. That's over $1,000 a year. We're so confident in this offer that we actually encourage you to call 2 other companies first, get their price, and then call Reliant Air Conditioning at 877-YOUR-HERO, or schedule your free estimate online at ReliantAirConditioning.com, where we've been gimmick-free since '83.
AJ here from Living the Good Life Show. Each week we talk about the good life, travel, all sports including golf and lifestyle. Sundays 1 to 2 p.m. right here on News and Information AM 570 KLIF. Presented by Reagan Gold Group. Gold continues to make new highs. Right now would be a good time to diversify into precious metals before prices get out of reach. Learn how diversifying physical metals can help you through the storm. Visit Gold Good Life.